First of all, I want to say, man, Happy New Year and Happy Holidays to you. For those that are watching this video, to all my loyal subscribers and my viewers, man, I thank you so much for being a part of the channel. You know, over my years of YouTube, man, thank you for your support. I do this for you and for anybody else who's curious or interested in the information that I have to share. But this video is going to go out to the Cleveland Browns because I feel for them a whole lot. I really do, man. Like, this organization, the owner they have, man, it's not fair for these fans, these loyal fans who are very strong. Despite Cleveland being one of the most weakest teams in the NFL, not the original Browns, right? I'm just talking about this current Brown teams. I'm gonna get to the original Browns later on in this video, but this goes out to the this current Browns team that you see before you now, with these 6 gentlemen here, right? Because I'm gonna let you know something now. There's nothing wrong with neither one of these players. What you're looking at before you is 6 first-round draft pick players across the board. If they're not first-round draft picks, they're steals from second or third rounds, right? The last GM, he actually did something decent. He actually got together a decent roster. The problem was they do so badly that they fire him. All right, I'm gonna tell y'all the main problem with this Browns team. It's got nothing to do with players or coaches, because I feel anytime you've went through 12 head coaches, right, in the last 10, 15 years in a row, because nobody has stayed there long term at all. Okay, we seen what happened with Hugh Jackson, right? He got fired, right? He got tossed out, right? They just now went with Freddie Kitchens, and now he's gone, right? After one season. Okay, Freddie Kitchens is not even a bad coach. He's just not the right coach for this team, because this team is running a different system. This Browns team has been all over the place. They don't know what they want to do, right? This all goes back to the owner, whoever the owner or the president, right? The chairman, CEO, whatever you want to call them, this goes up to them, the higher up. I'm talking about the ones in charge, right? The ones who actually run this team. It's them. They're not using their money properly at all. They're not hiring the right scouts, okay, to try look for decent players, right? Because in this case, it's not in this case, it's not wrong. But again, it's the coaching staff too. They're not hiring the right coaching staff, right? They're not hiring the right guys who know how to coach a system that these players can fit in. They get players that don't fit into what the coach is trying to run, right? This is why this Browns team is not as strong as the Patriots. They're not as strong as the Steelers or the Ravens. Even the Bengals have had seasons where they've actually won out their division, right? And they've actually made a Super Bowl appearance. Bengals way better, have proven themselves to be a better organization than this current Browns team. But remember, the Bengals are still an original franchise. They never moved, right? Like I told y'all before, man, the original Cleveland Browns, that's the Baltimore Ravens you see today with Lamar Jackson. That's the Browns. That's the team that Jim Brown has history with, right? When Art Modell moved his Cleveland Browns to the Baltimore in 1996 and become the Ravens, that changed the whole dynamic of the league. That changed the whole scenario. Because I'm gonna let y'all know now, Art Modell toughed it out in Cleveland, right? How he allowed Bill Belichick to do what he's doing in New England now, where Bill Belichick is not only coach but he's GM, so he has full control. Because the Browns had made the playoffs in '94, the season before, right? The '94 season they made the playoffs. Yeah, this was 2 seasons before, right? Bill Belichick went through 3 seasons of rebuilding that team. This man had wound up picking up Leon Horde, Pepper Johnson, which is the original 52. You had receiver Michael Jackson, who was very quick. He's very agile, very fast, right? But then you had Vinny Testaverde. He made Testaverde into a decent, solid quarterback. Because Vinny Testaverde is no doubt, Vinny Testaverde is not a champion quarterback, but he's good enough to win you games. He could perform well enough when he was in his prime to get you to the playoffs. I think he's had at least one AFC championship appearance with the New York Jets. So that might have been a division round, but he's gotten very far in the late 90s, right? Yeah, he was on his Browns team playoffs. He took the Jets to the playoffs. This is around 98, 99. I think when Bill Parcells took over that team. But anyways, yeah, he made Vinny Testaverde into a solid quarterback back in the mid-90s, right? The Browns were nowhere near where they are now. The OG Browns had made the playoffs throughout the 70s, 80s, and the 90s. They were nothing like this at all. They could compete. Then you go back farther than that. You go back to the Jim Brown days of the 1950s, where they was the AFL before the merger began in the 60s, right? The Browns had won at least 3 of those championships. They got 3 AFL championships. which we call the AFC now. But again, the Browns were very respectable, and that was in our grandparents. And this is when our parents was children, but this was in our grandparents' time, right? Your grandparents' time, right? That was their generation. The Browns was actually respectable. Jim Brown being one of the first generation black football players, right? It started with the Browns. Okay? But the problem with this current Browns team is that it's Jimmy Haslam. The Haslam family don't know how to win games. They don't know how to they don't understand football at all. They don't understand structure. Okay? Jimmy Haslam's Cleveland Browns are the equivalent of Michael Jordan's Charlotte Hornets, right? Well, there was the Charlotte Bobcats, right? All Michael Jordan did was basically buy the name of the Charlotte Hornets, but that does not make them the original Charlotte Hornets. And y'all remember the original Charlotte Hornets with Muggsy Bogues, Dale Curry, Alonzo Mourning, right, and Grandmama, Larry Johnson. You remember that Hornets team? That Hornets team back in like the early 2000s, 1990s, and before, that team actually knew how to win games. That team was actually that team took the Bulls to the Eastern Conference championship. Well, I believe they won. I think it was they took Bulls to I think 6 or 7 games, or might have been 5. But anyways, that team was winning divisional titles. Man, they were winning. They were in the conference championship. That Hornets team would at least make an effort to try to win the title, right? The problem with Michael Jordan is that he's not a GM at all. He doesn't make the smart decisions. Okay, and this is why the Hornets always struggle. No, that was his previous Bobcats team, right? The original Charlotte Hornets is the New Orleans Pelicans. Because remember that the original Charlotte Hornets had moved to New Orleans, I think around the early 2000s, right? Before Hurricane Katrina. That team had Baron Davis on them. That was like 2001, that was like 2002, 2003. With Baron Davis and Mashburn, right? Later on you got Chris Paul, but again, that team, the original owner sold that team to the New Orleans. The New Orleans changed them to the Pelicans. That's the guy who owns the New Orleans Saints, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, that's basically what's wrong with this Cleveland Browns team. Is that Haslam don't know how to win games. And the only playoff experience he ever actually had was in 2002. But that's when Kelly Holcomb was the quarterback. And that was once upon a time. That was a way different era. Because in 2002, that's around the time when my Cowboys were just going through a major decline, where they was going through a rebuilding process, right? They weren't contending nothing. You had Quincy Carter at quarterback, but Emmitt Smith was basically about to be traded to Arizona the season after, and even Darren Woodson was getting up in age. This was like the second year in the Belichick Brady era. This is when they had just won a Super Bowl, and then that, Brady and Belichick had got established. That was also the year where the Raiders and Buccaneers, Gruden went to the Buccaneers, is getting ready to win them their first Super Bowl, right? After leaving the Raiders. So he left Jerry Rice and Tim Brown now out the way because him and Al Davis got into it, right? Y'all remember that? This is when Michael Vick was getting established. You know what I'm saying? Michael Vick was basically what Lamar Jackson was now. Okay, around that time. That was the only other time this Browns team actually, this Cleveland Browns organization actually made the playoffs. And even then, they made the wild card. And I believe they lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And that was a Pittsburgh Steelers team that had, I believe, Cordell Stewart before he left, Joey Porter, right? I think you had Ryan Shazier, if I'm not mistaken. You had the bus Jerome Bettis and Bill Cowher's coached them. So that Steelers team was still respectable, right? And remember, the Ravens still had Ray Lewis them in their prime, right? You had Ray Lewis, you had Ray and Jamal Lewis, you had Derrick Mason. They were still good, okay? So again, man, this particular Browns team never won out their division either. They never once won the AFC North at all. Never. Since they were franchise 99. I remember some idiot, some hater, man, who always want to try to crush somebody, try to embarrass me. This dude brought the fact that, try to say, why you break up the fact they're expansion team, right? But you got Houston, Jacksonville, you got Carolina, that have all done success. But I have to tell them, like, look, dude, Jacksonville, Houston, and Carolina, those expansion teams have all made progress, right? You can't compare this Browns organization to the Panthers, Jags, and the Texans, because all three of those other teams have made the playoffs numerous times. More than once have they made the playoffs, right? Not to forget to mention now, each three of those other expansion teams have all won out their division. The Texans have defeated the Colts. They've defeated the Jaguars and they've defeated the Titans to actually make the playoffs and clinch. They did it in 2012. They also did it in 2016, where they were in the playoffs. Well, I don't think they yeah, I think Indianapolis might have gotten them. Yeah, they did. They did it in 2016, even though they were hurt, they were banged up, and even this last year, right, this season, right there in the playoffs. Not to forget that Houston actually has at least 3 or 4 notable Hall of Famers. Because before Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins, you had J.J. Watt over there, right? You've had Aaron Foster, who was a.k.a. Optimus Prime. That guy, when he was in the league in his younger days, was making noise, right? And then you've had Andre Johnson. To me, man, Andre Johnson, one of the most best performed receivers behind Megatron, right? Behind Calvin Johnson and Randy Moss. Andre Johnson was amazing, right? Then you have Matt Schaub, who's had great numbers over there. Matt Schaub, if he does go in the Hall of Fame, he's going to be known for his Houston Texans, right? And then you had Gary Kubiak, who did win a Super Bowl with the Denver Broncos, right? It just wasn't going to work out with Houston because his time ran its course, but he did wind up getting it done with John Elway's Denver Broncos, okay? So, again, now you got Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins, to me, are future Hall of Famers, right? The way Watson is going. So, again, man, Houston Texans have drafted decent players, right? Their teams have made the playoffs. They're contending. They've won divisional titles, right? Then we look at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Again, another team who has won divisional titles, right? They've won a divisional title. They made at least 2 AFC Championship appearances, both against the New England Patriots, right? They've beaten the Pittsburgh Steelers in the wild card, which have beaten Big Ben, right? They've beaten Big Ben, Troy Polamalu, right? They've beaten these guys. The Jacksonville Jaguars, they made the playoffs numerous times, even when they had Byron Leftwich and Maurice Jones-Drew. Again, Jacksonville has Hall of Famers. Mark Brunell, you've had James Stewart, okay? Like, come on now, man. Jacksonville Jaguars got history. Yeah, they don't have no Super Bowl, but again, they made the playoffs numerous times. They competed for the AFC Championship at least twice. Again, they made progress, right? The Carolina Panthers, they went to 2 Super Bowls, right? One with John Fox, and another one with Ron Rivera, right? So they got 2 NFC championships under their belt. Cam Newton has won an MVP award with that team. And again, you've had Tim Biakabatuka over there. You have Musha Muhammad. Greg Hardy, despite the trouble Greg Hardy being in, he's still worthy of to be a Hall of Famer because he's averaged the most sacks in his seasons with them, right? And at least 2 or 3 seasons with the Panthers, right? And then you had DJ Fluker, not Fluker, but Foster, right? You had him, right? They had some quality guys. You've had Josh Norman over there, notably, okay. Greg Olsen played for them, right? Luke Kuechly to me is another future Hall of Famer. He's basically the Clay Matthews of that team, right? Without Luke Kuechly, that just don't work, right? So again, man, the Panthers again have made history in their time there. It didn't take the Jacksonville or Carolina long enough to make the playoffs. Yeah, they make the playoffs, I think, within their second year, their sophomore year of the league. Here this Cleveland Browns team that came back in the return in '99, and they still only made 1 playoff appearance, right? They have not won out the division or done nothing. It's sad. It's been too many first-round draft picks across the board, right? Look how many first-round quarterbacks they're picking up from Brady Quinn on down, right? Still all failed miserably, right? You had Deshaun Kaiser from Notre Dame, who's a first-round draft pick, right? Cody Kessler before him. It's just disappointment after disappointment. Again, folks, this all goes down to your owner, right? It's like, for example, right? Jerry Jones, right? Now, everybody criticizes Jerry Jones for what's going on, nowadays. But back then, when Jerry Jones first bought the Cowboys off, he changed the whole dynamic. He turned that whole city around. Okay, because the Cowboys, when they had Tom Landry was running them down the ground. The Cowboys was down there about to fold. I'll be honest, man. As Landry got older, man, as his core got older, man, teams started figuring out how to beat him. The 49ers, right? The Eagles, the Giants, these teams all figured out how to beat the Dallas Cowboys, right? They were struggling. And here, Jerry Jones, comes in there, right? Alumni in Arkansas, right? Real estate agent comes in there, man. He buys a team. But what does Jerry Jones do? Jerry Jones takes time and he develops that team, right? He started making good draft picks, such as Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin, right? Troy Aikman. He brings in Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson also coached Michael Irvin when they was in Miami, right? And he allowed Jimmy Johnson to build that team, right? He allowed Jimmy Johnson to create a system. And all Jerry Jones did was create the players for his system, right? He wound up getting Charles Haley from the 49ers, right? He picking up Ken Norton Jr. before he left, right? Jay Novacek, right? This guy has won 2 Super Bowls, right? Beating the Buffalo Bills twice. Then in '95, right, he winds up picking up Deion Sanders. Deion wasn't happy with the Niners, right? Because Jerry Rice kept getting on Deion's case. So Jerry would figure, okay, man, you can come over here and do what you want to do with my Cowboys, right? I'm going to pay this money. Go ahead, man. The Cowboys are your team. He allowed Deion Sanders to be Deion. He allowed Deion to bring out his personality to the team. See, that personality was going to work with the Niners because the Niners are a hard-working team. Jerry Rice don't like all that flashiness and all that cockiness, right? That Deion brings. Deion brings a whole lot of traffic to the team. But Jerry Jones didn't mind, right? Jerry Jones was willing to do whatever it took to win. Not to forget to mention that Jerry Jones has given a lot of players who are troublemakers, right? Guys who get in trouble with a lot, second chance opportunities. As long as they can play and do good, I don't care, right? That's helped the Cowboys. And yeah, in the last 15 years, the last 22 years, they haven't had that much success. But Jerry Jones has at least put the Cowboys in position to make a run of playoffs, right? He's given Tony Romo and Dak Prescott both help, right? Wade Phillips and Jason Garrett, right? So they don't. Jason Garrett has no excuses if he gets fired in the Cowboys because Jerry Jones at least drafted him a lot of help, right? Vander Esch, you had Randall, right? Taco Fall before he got cut. Don't say you got Chris Richards over there. Xavier Woods is not a bad draft pick. Anthony Brown, right? You've had Brandon Carr over there. You've had Dez Bryant, Cole Beasley, right? You've had look at Travis Fabry, right? Look at that offensive line. Right, Romo and Prescott have both had help. Look at Ezekiel, right? So there's no excuse for that. You had DeMarco Murray beasting. Though the Cowboys have made the playoffs numerous times, all right? The Cowboys at least made efforts. Jerry Jones made efforts to try to get his team to a Super Bowl, right? The problem is Jason Garrett and Tony Romo were the problem. They weren't the answer. Okay? That's the only thing Jerry Jones being screwed up at. But again, Jerry Jones has 3 Super Bowls as an owner. He's won 3 of them. Okay? So, again, man, Jerry Jones is a Hall of Famer. Jimmy Haslam and his father James, no. They've done absolutely nothing. Okay? Even the Detroit Lions, the Detroit Lions don't have a ring neither, but the Detroit Lions, again, got Hall of Famers over there. They got history. You know what I'm saying? They got the Barry Sanders era, one of the greatest running backs of all time. Right? And this Lions team at least made the playoffs. They made the playoffs more times, even when this Brown teams was on franchise, right, in 99. The Lions have at least made playoff appearances, right? You only had Matt Stafford and Calvin Johnson. They made the playoffs. The Lions have had seasons where they were actually a contender. So again, man, it's not the same thing. Yeah, Detroit don't have no Super Bowl neither, but again, they have at least made efforts to try to win championships, right? They've won. The Lions have actually won divisional titles more than once. And that's the one thing Barry Sanders did win was divisional titles. When Barry was there, man, the Lions would own the Green Bay Packers. They've owned the Green Bay Panthers. They've owned the Cowboys, right? They've owned the 49ers in the regular seasons. Yeah, playoffs is a different story, but again, the Lions at one time was a very respectable and very competitive team. They had their era, right? This Browns, you won't see them at all. It's sad. If you look on the record right now and you see you compare the Browns to the Bengals, Ravens, and Steelers, and basically teams who've won out the division, you see that the Browns are very low. The Browns are like 0 for 40. 0 for 40-something games, 40 seasons where they've lost to the Bengals, Steelers, and the Ravens. Right? That's disappointing. What this Brown teams need to do, man, Jimmy Haslam may need to just sell the team, man. All right? Because it's sad. It's just like, for example, in basketball, right, with my Clippers. If they would still have Don Sterling, the Clippers would have never got no Kawhi Leonard or no Paul George to come over there, right? They would have never got no Patrick Beverly, no Lou Williams. They would have never had none of this. Why? Because Don Sterling was too cheap and he was ignorant as hell. Not to get you, he was a very racist dude. The dude did not care about winning games at all. He just cared about looking good, right? All he cared about was money and entertainment. He don't care about trying to win a championship. Steve Ballmer bought the team for $40 million and is spending his money to try to get the team in position to win. Ballmer cares. And since Steve Ballmer came on the team, the Lakers have not beaten the Clippers out in the regular season in a very long time. The Clippers have made the playoffs 6 years in a row. Right? They made the playoffs at least like 5-6 years, except for last year. Not except for the 2 seasons ago, right? But again, the Clippers have finished better than Lakers in the regular season since Ballmer got there. Okay? Ballmer cares about his team, right? Ballmer is willing to spend the money to get this team going. He's willing to spend the money to get the draft players, right? And also, Ballmer knew that Doc Rivers wasn't doing a good job as GM. So he basically told Doc Rivers, just go focus on coaches only. I'm going to hire Mike Wang and Lawrence Frank to take over these duties. I'm going to bring in Jerry West to advise me and help me make these decisions. Steve Ballmer cares about that team, man. He's trying to win a championship, right? This Jimmy has him here, do not care. So for you Cleveland Browns fans, y'all need to start complaining to the owner, right? These players are not the problem. Baker Mayfield ain't the problem. Baker Mayfield is one of the most talented quarterbacks they've ever drafted, to be quite honest with you. Baker Mayfield is way better than Kessler, Kaiser, Brady Quinn, especially Johnny Manziel, and every other quarterback they've put together over there, right? This guy, I would even put this guy over Kelly Holcomb, right? I mean, I don't know now. I don't know. I'm not going to necessarily put him ahead of Testaverde because, again, Testaverde is the original Browns. But again, Baker Mayfield is very talented. He has a lot of potential, a lot of problems there. If Baker Mayfield was on a different team, let's say Baker Mayfield was on that San Francisco 49er team, right? Or let's say that the Packers would have traded Aaron Rodgers and picked up Baker Mayfield. Or let's say that Baker Mayfield was over by Cowboys. Or if he was over even on the New York Giants or any one of these other teams, right? Baker Mayfield would be on the playoffs. I'll be very honest, man. If Baker Mayfield was on a different organization that had a better owner that could give Baker Mayfield help, Baker Mayfield would indeed be an MVP. He'd be up there for MVP. He'd be up there with Lamar Jackson and Russell Wilson and Jimmy Garoppolo, those type of guys, right? He'd be up there with Brady. I'm being honest, man. It's bad. It's very bad. And Art Modell would have never allowed his team to keep going out like that. Art Modell would have found ways to win out in that division. He would have found ways to defeat the rival Pittsburgh Steelers, right? He'd have found ways to beat the Baltimore Ravens. And speaking of Ravens, man, that's the only thing Freddie Kitchens actually done this season. Out of these 6 wins, he's actually beaten the Baltimore Ravens, right? He basically limited Lamar Jackson, and Lamar Jackson couldn't do all that running that he's accustomed to doing, right? The Browns, besides KC, is the only other team that has actually defeat the Baltimore Ravens. So if Freddie Kitchens was able to beat the Ravens, then he's really not the problem. Okay? Again, this is Freddie Kitchens' first year in. Freddie Kitchens has had to he's had to take on the problems that the other coaches have done, right? Again, what Hugh Jackson did, man, Freddie Kitchens has had to he's just in a bad situation. He's inherited a bad time. So it takes a coach at least 2 or 3 seasons to develop with their team, man. Again, man, this is not Kyle Shanahan with the Niners, right? Because even Kyle Shanahan took at least 2 seasons before he was able to get this team competitive, including Peterson, right? I feel them firing Kitchens like the Giants fired Pat Schumer, man, is bad. Even Schumer with the Giants, man, why are you firing him this soon, man? Give this man another chance. At least give a new head coach 2 years to try to prove themselves, right? No, you don't fire a head coach after 1 season. They at least gave Hugh Jackson at least technically a season and a half to get that team back going. But again, it's a bad spot. Right? It ain't these coaches' fault, man. It's the owner. It's the president, right? It's the CEO. It's the chairman. It's the guys who's on your board of directors, right? It's these people, these scouts who go to these players and don't select the right team for the system. So, folks, that's what's going on with Cleveland right now. It's your owner. Once you change owners, y'all do what the LA Clippers did. You change owners, right? And you get somebody that's willing to spend money, the right kind of money to win games. Only then will this Browns team begin to change. Now, don't get me wrong. Now, I understand that anybody can change. Any owner could turn around, but Haslam needs to look at Bill. Needs to have a conversation with Bill Belichick, right? You need to look at Art Modell. What Haslam needs to do, he needs to look at some old film of the original Cleveland Browns before they went to Baltimore and see how they was able to build a team. Right, because this man needs a waking up call. Right, he needs to he needs to understand what it is to build a football team and win games. Right, this needs to look at John Madden. He needs to look at Tom Landry. Right, Jerry Jones, Robert Kraft. He needs to look at those guys and see how they build football teams, because this is not working at all. Now I'm gonna tell you this right now, right, and you can ask any Cleveland Browns fan. If you watch that documentary, I think 33rd for the Cleveland Browns, you'll know this, right? Again, had Art Modell stayed in Cleveland and allowed Bill Belichick to do what he did with New England right now, like as he's doing now, then the Browns would have never been lose like this. We wouldn't even talk about the New England Patriots because the Patriots, Drew Bledsoe would have eventually got older and the Patriots would have to start over anyway, right? Because until until Tom Brady took over that team, the Patriots wasn't winning nothing, right? But Bill Belichick stayed, then Tom Brady would have been eventually drafted onto this Cleveland Browns team, right? They would have had Ray Lewis. You would have had Derrick Mason over there eventually, Shannon Sharp. You would have had Priest Holmes too before he left, right? You would have had Todd Heap, right? You would have had there wouldn't even been no Lamar Jackson because Brady would have been winning all these championships. Brady and Lewis would have been teammates. The Cleveland Browns would have had at least 7 or 8 championships. If Mark Riddell would have went that route and toughed it out because those fans was loyal to Cleveland. Despite how terrible Cleveland did, those fans still packed the house out at Three River Stadium. They love their Browns to death, man. I'm serious. And most of the fans at the time were all older fans of the Jim Brown Cleveland Browns, right? So again, man, the Cleveland Browns history goes far back. But again, that's with Baltimore. This new Browns team, hell no. They're nothing like the Cleveland Browns all. All they have now is just a name. That's all they have. The name and the uniform. Even the Texans decided not to use the Oilers name, right? When the owner of the Houston Texans decided to bring a team back to Houston, he decided to let the Tennessee Titans keep that Oilers name. The Oilers franchise left with Tennessee. He kept it there, man. He didn't dare bother, man, mess with that name because the Houston Oilers have history, man. The Houston Oilers got guys like Warren Moon and Earl Campbell, right? The Houston Oilers have won divisional championships, man. They've competed in the AFC Championship before. You don't bring back a team like that, a franchise like that, on that special team, and you're not gonna have that same type of success. No, you don't do that. You have respect. The current Houston Texas owner have respect for the Oilers. So no, man, he didn't dare try to buy out that name from Tennessee. He left it alone. That's what this new ownership did. This Cleveland Browns team shouldn't be the Cleveland Browns. They need to rename their team. They need to rebrand. They're not worthy to be the Cleveland Browns at all. Jimmy Haslam is not worthy enough to have his team renamed the Browns. I'm sorry. This team needs to rechange the name. They need to rebrand themselves. They need to go as a Cleveland something else. They don't deserve to be the Browns. Because you disappointing Jim Brown. You know, Jim Brown, all those guys that played with them, right? The Testaverdes, all those guys, right? You disappointing them. The old school Browns, the original Browns knew how to win games. This Browns, no, man. They're nowhere near that. Again, this is a Brown organization that have done nothing. They have made no progress. They have no Hall of Famers, by the matter of fact, at all. None. None of the guys they drafted became Hall of Famers or became Pro Bowl guys like that outside of Joe Hayden. I mean, don't get me wrong. They've had some Pro Bowlers. Don't get me wrong. I'm not taking nothing from that. I think they had that one lineman, right? They had Peyton Hillis, but that's it. But none of those guys are going to be in the Hall of Fame as far as a Michael Irvin, a Jerry Rice, right? You know what I'm saying? None of those guys are Ray Lewis. They're not Tom Brady. They're none of those guys, right? They don't have no famous players that are notable that have had historic seasons like that. This Browns team still hasn't not had a historic season like those other Hall of Famers that I mentioned, right? The Julius Sayus, rest in peace. Right? Those guys, right? The Shannon Sharps. Right? The Brett Favres. The Browns don't have none of those type of guys on this particular team. None of them, man. Joe Hayden left because of that. They can't keep nobody, man, because guys leave as soon as they get the chance. They don't want to be here. It's bad. And if they can change that, Baker Mayfield gonna be leaving too. Man, especially this guy here, man. These guys are this guy here, man. 22, man. All these guys are too good, man. I'm serious, man. Even 47, I feel sorry for him, man. It's bad. No, man. You can't have an organization like this and you're not trying to make no effort to win. I feel sorry for organizations like this, right? I don't like picking on no organization like that. I feel sorry for them. I really do, man. I pity these type of organizations. I know how that feels to be the underdog. To know that your home city don't have faith in you, that you're going to lose every time. People have said the city of Cleveland's cursed, right, with the Indians, but at least the Indians and the Cavaliers, they have at least made the championship, right? The Indians have at least made efforts to try to win a World Series. Okay? Again, man, and what's sad is that Urban Meyer and his tenure with the Ohio State Buckeyes have won more championships than this Cleveland Browns team have in the NFL. That's what's sad right now. Right? You look at the college football team, right? Ohio State Buckeyes. That's what Cleveland is basically known for, the Buckeyes championships, right? Because the Buckeyes have at least won that titles, right? Even though these are younger kids, these are younger men, them younger men have won championships for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Urban Meyer has brought has delivered more than one BCS national championship to the city of Cleveland, right? Or the state of Ohio in general. The state of Ohio has had championships delivered to them by Urban Meyer, because Urban Meyer is that good of a coach. You see, that's what Cleveland need to do, man. They need to go after Urban Meyer immediately. If the Cowboys don't, if Jerry Jones will try to call Urban Meyer on the phone, then Cleveland needs to call Urban Meyer immediately, because Urban Meyer will turn this whole franchise around, and he'll have Baker Mayfield right there looking like a Hall of Famer. He'll have each and every one of those 6 men literally in the playoffs, literally, man, on their way to basically take out Kansas City or Baltimore for a championship, right? That's what Cleveland needs to do. They need to hire Mike McCarthy, man. Okay, again, Freddie Kitchens was a bad idea, but to fire him like that wasn't right. He did Freddie Kitchens dirty. I don't agree with that. But anyways, folks, man, that's the video, man. Yeah, shouts out to even Cleveland Browns fans, man. I feel y'all, man. I really do, man. I pity y'all. I feel so sorry for y'all, right? They don't have a single AFC championship to call their own. They have not been in not one Super Bowl, man. That's bad. But no, man, the Lord can make a way, man. You understand? I'm a Christian man, but I believe God can make a way. Whoever you believe in can make a way, man. Y'all just gotta believe, but y'all gotta start getting on your owner, man. Y'all gonna have to start complaining to your owner. The more y'all complain to your owner, if y'all going to strike over your owner, man, y'all can get him out the way. And y'all need a brand new owner, and then you need a head coach like Urban Meyer that actually knows what he's doing. Anyways, folks, that's the video, man. Like, subscribe, comment, tell me what you think, man. Again, man, Happy New Year, y'all. Stay blessed. And then on my next video, I'm gonna definitely be doing the I think sometime probably next week, right? Or sometime this week coming up, I'm gonna do the playoff brackets, because the playoff preview is coming. We in playoff time, so I'm gonna show you my picks. But anyway, folks, that's the video, man. Stay blessed, stay tuned. I'll see you soon.